So, good afternoon, everyone. So, we are just waiting for a few more minutes to ensure all participants are. We have over 240 people registered for this session. In the interest of time, let me give one more minute to ensure participants have all the opportunities to learn about this particular session. Let me at least count at least the 50 numbers, then I can move on. We still have a few more people to join. I hope the session is recorded, Dr. Niranga.
He started. Yep.
Right. So while I believe most people will be coming in the due course of minute or so. So once again, thank you everyone. Good afternoon or good morning or good evening to wherever you are. We are starting the session late evening in Colombo. For some, it is even late for colleagues joining from China or from Japan. So this is welcome to the session 11. This is a part of multi-stakeholder partnership of initiating a global webinar series on Eyes on the Storm series, an initiative to bring greater needs and priorities to strengthen the initiative of advancing early warning for all. So today's session is more on eyes in the skies. You are not going to see anything in the floor. You are going to see anything all in the sky. That's where the space segment and technology-driven institutions and academic institutions are going to take a significant role to share their experiences and knowledge. And I think in particular time of this season, we are seeing increasing escalation of climate extremes. We are seeing in media around the world about rising flash floods, wildfire, landslides. And I think among many other technologies, Earth observation is a powerful tool in terms of helping countries to know where the disasters have struck. And it can be seen hundreds of kilometers from space. And that's one of the critical data that provides near real-time satellite observation in terms of detection, in terms of risk mapping, and also providing rapid impact assessment to policymakers to provide relief and rescue and recovery measures as they go forward. I do believe Earth observation is not just about taking a satellite image like we see International Space Station do capture those wonderful images, but it is quite useful in terms of particularly the disaster management, the whole humanitarian communities to act faster, plan smarter, and also save lives in a rapid, coordinated approach. So we are going to hear a lot from speakers in terms of the technologies that are available and how rapidly they are able to use those solutions, and also adding to that powerful capabilities like artificial intelligence are also playing a lot of collaboration in terms of providing reliable efficiency and efficiency when it comes to disseminating the products as such. So I would go more in terms of how this session is going to be organized. We have experts from space agencies, academia, national disaster management, international development, and more importantly, the private sectors are going to share their innovations, lessons, and also opportunities to highlight the importance of preparation for emergency management. So thanks again for those who could join with us today. And with that, let me introduce two speakers that they are going to first provide an elevated pitch on what they have so far utilized this capability. And so in that regard, let me introduce two speakers from the order I have. Dr. A.V. Suresh Babu, who is the head of Flood Mapping Hazard Assessment Division from the National Remote Sensing Center, which is part of the Indian Space Research Organization. He has vast expertise in remote sensing, GIS-based flood mapping and hazard assessment, and providing opportunities of how satellite data can be useful for disaster management and risk mitigation efforts. So he has also played a crucial role when it comes to preparedness to help states and sub-national level, providing improved resilience to vulnerable regions. That's a paramount of ensuring leaving no one behind. And we have a second speaker, Dr. Gora Taki, Associate Senior Engineer, Deputy Executive Secretariat of the Sentinel Asia, and he is also the board member of the International Disaster Charter. Many of you know there are two different mechanisms. One is the Sentinel Asia looks at the Asia Pacific and also other parts of the region. The other is the International Disaster Charter when it comes to major disaster. He represents Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, briefly JAXA. He provide a credible contribution in terms of space-based technology for disaster management and emergency management. And Taki is actively involved in enhancing international collaboration and promoting effective use of space technology and for humanitarian purpose. Without further delay, let me call upon Dr. Suresh Babu to deliver his presentation. I hope the screen is visible to share the screen now. Over to you, Dr. Suresh Babu.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dr. B. Yeah. So can I start?
Yes, please. Go ahead. Oh. We don't see he is there now. Dr. Suresh Babu,
I'm there.
Yeah.
Your screen is off. Now it's coming.
We can see the screen.
Right, it's coming. Yeah, now it is coming.
Go ahead.
So good evening to all. Maybe for some, maybe good morning. I'm going to cover the aspects of mapping and assessment. What kind of information requirements are there? How they are being done, and how we have been using those particular technologies and presenting the cases of India. But however, the scenario of these things is very much same. I would like to go into the details one by one.
We are not able to hear very well.
Thanks to Giriraj for giving this opportunity. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah, thank you. So here I divided the entire my presentation into three components. The situation, which we mostly talk on near real time for mapping and monitoring, which is very important. In case of India, it is almost like 7 months to 8 months. We be on highest alert to understand what is happening in this in the country and different locations, and also the behavior, how it has been there for the last 25 years, how is relevant now, what kind of care we can take, what kind of information we can pass on to the disaster management organizations to based on the previous histories. That is a very, very important, which we are taking care. And the third one is anyway impact assessment. Impact assessment, I will explain through some of the slides, like damage assessment or the information with respect to the water levels in the river and versus what is happening on the ground. So here mostly we are totally dependent on satellite remote sensing applications for disaster support. I would like to emphasize more on what is existing, what else can be done, how we can progress in this particular domain, so that there can be a much more disaster management support in the country as well as in the globe. Next. Thank you. So here I would like to just emphasize the need for this kind of satellite remote sensing applications for disaster support, especially in case of flood. So if you see, when the flood happens, if you just simply analyze, there will be a riverine flood, there will be a heavy rains, but there may not be a flood, but definitely there is a huge damage to the crops and several scenarios, infrastructure and all that. And anyway, cyclones, which is in the coastal, and then Gulf events, which is increasing day by day. Almost like every year we are finding normally 1 or 2, we are finding almost like 10 in the country. So if you see the left side of my image, my presentation, that is actually the case study of India, wherein we have analyzed last 25 years satellite derived flood information across the country, and then that has been compiled and given as an atlas to the public of the India, so that they can be aware what is happening in different parts of the country. So this is actually a unique effort that has been made since we have been working from 25 years, and we have that. It is not the question of 25 years. All the 25 years we have planned for acquisition of the suitable satellite data to capture the maximum disaster scenario, and that is available with us for the country. That is actually very important. Maybe globally also, for some of the countries it must be available. Next. Next slide, please. Yeah. So if you just ensemble all the requirements versus what is going to happen, what we are supposed to do as a disaster manager, everything has been put in this slide. The first point is we have to watch the river. How do we watch the river? We have multiple satellites. ISRO satellites are there for us, and public domain satellites are there. And there are international charter support. We get a lot of very high resolution and then SAR and data sets. And there are some commercial satellites where whatever you want, they have n number of constellations wherein you can get the satellite data. We need to understand what is happening in each of the river stretch and try to understand and then try to acquire the satellite data so that the maximum disaster scenario can be captured. If this first point is very important, if it is missing, entire story is missing. The second point is satellite data planning. So satellite data planning involves is a free domain and then organizational domain and then international domain, commercial domain. So we need to be prepared with the funds and then the requirements and standard operating procedures, how we can capture these acquisitions so that we can meet the requirements of the public. Then satellite data acquisition is over. Now satellite data processing, we may be getting a lot of data. How do we process? How do we automate? Can we have any method to make automated analysis or analysis ready products so that within 1 hour of the image acquisition, can we process it? Then I'm going to touch upon that particular thing, which is very important in this particular webinar, which I have tried certain things and I also have proposed certain things so that this approach can be useful globally. Interpretation for flood detection. There are several issues. Whenever we talk about the flood, mostly there will be a cloud. So optical data is impossible. So we have to go for SAR data. When you go for SAR data, there are some challenges like how do we distribute flood and then the water in the crop areas and then high moisture. So these are the specific issues. How do we deal that? Then the next one is statistics. So statistics are very important because once we give in a responsible organization, it has some value. How do we handle that particular responsibility? How do we write the proper disclaimers? And how do you try to relate to the field statistics? And this is very important thing. Then dissemination. Dissemination is a single map may not be sufficient enough. We need to worry about how do we spatially convert into this map so that it can reach the common public. So we have some portal called NDEM, which I will be explaining about it. And this is actually the total gamut of information, what we need to information requirements versus what is the feasibility. Apart from this, there is one special for early warning. Of course, in India case, there are for 2 rivers the system is available. For other rivers, it is in the preparation. Maybe in future it may be there. In some of the countries where radar data is there, probably they would have got entire ready and working in the real time. In our case, we have for Godavari and Tapi rivers, which are very important, where we see the floods almost like once in 2 years. So we are using in real time. Apart from this, we need to regularly screen the satellite images, whether a flood is there or not. We need to go ahead and then continue to watch the river. Then the right side image, I don't know whether it's visible or not. It's actually a Bhunidhi portal wherein all ISRO satellite data sets and public domain satellite data sets are hosted in this one, and anyone can download freely from that particular site. Next. I would like to finish this maybe another 3 to 4 minutes. Fine. Thank you. Next. It's set to come. Yeah. So here I would like to explain different case studies, case scenarios, basically. What are the different scenarios we face? It is simple. Because of the river, water level rise, there will be flooding. That's the first case. The second case is the prolonged flooding. We need to have a duration map. Duration map is very important when they go for a compensation kind of thing. Duration is very important. Is it sustainable even after 4 days water in the field? And the third one is the village level flood hazard duration map. I'm not getting into the details, although this is available in the net. But what I'm trying to say is that these 3 are very, very important in a near real time. The right one, which is high resolution satellite data, is damage assessment. If you have submitted satellite data of optical, it is very much easy to understand the damage assessment. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult. This we can get only after the cloud receding and then after maybe 10 days or 15 days of the damage. So that is actually there is no other way. There is only an option. By using SAR, we will not be able to do those things. And there is one more glacial lake outburst flooding. That is the very important. We need to prioritize the lakes and try to see that if something happens, what is going to be there. We have to alert the people in the downstream and try to handle this particular thing. So these are the major case studies what we are dealing with in India, and most of the things are same wherever mountain regions are in other countries. Next.
Dr. Suresh, can you wrap up your presentation? We are short of time.
Yeah, another 2 minutes, another 1 minute. Yeah. So here there is a requirement for development and implementation automated algorithms. So we need to have an algorithm, then try to test it, then make the concept and see that it is a scene independent analysis is possible, and the decision has to be taken by computer itself, and we should have very little intervention in this. And a lot of improvements need to continue on a daily basis based on several images what we receive. Next. Another 30 seconds, sir. Yeah, slide. Yeah. So suppose if you follow the previous slide, whatever I have emphasized in that, then there will be so many spin-off benefits. We can continue to make different layers, different the temporal layers wherein water bodies can be updated, river configuration changes can be understood. We can identify the hotspots where crop damage is happening on a regular basis, and you need to develop the knowledge base in each of the study areas. So this is these two slides are going to be very important. This is a message which I want to give in this webinar, so that in each of the country where these flood scenarios are increasing, we need to gear up for the improvements in your way of thinking in analyzing satellite images. Try to analyze more and more, and then preserve the knowledge base for using in the next image, so that we can get accuracy towards 90%. Next. Next, I am going to talk about NDEM. It is a portal wherein all the disaster information is hosted. Maybe we can go to next, otherwise I can explain in this there. This is a portal which is open to the public, and whatever the information generated in India on disaster is hosted on that particular portal. The last point is India is also working for international charter space and for major disasters. ISRO is leading in this particular time period, April to October 2025. Almost 28 activations supported for 23 countries, and India itself has used 3 times for charter flash flood in Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and Jammu and Kashmir. So thank you very much. I have tried to explain the importance of the satellite data utilization, and also the importance of the NDEM, importance of the international charter, and automation, importance of the automation for disaster management.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Yeah. Let me call upon Gorasan to share your presentation. Thank you.
Okay. I'm trying to get my presentation now. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. How about now?
Still we can't see, but or if you request, we can also share from our side.
Okay.
Viranga, can you share?
Yep.
Okay, yes, that's better maybe.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm sharing
you can start the topic. Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead.
Actually, I cannot see your screen.
Yeah.
Copy to visible now.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, thank you, Dr. Giriraj and IWMI to provide an opportunity to present, introduce about the Central Asia and how satellite assets can be utilized to disaster management. As Dr. Babu of ISRO has mentioned about the examples of satellite utilization, I'd like to talk a little bit more about how we actually provide data and how it can be used. Next page, please. So very brief information about Central Asia. It's a space-based international corporation for disaster management in Asia-Pacific region. We started in 2006 under Asia-Pacific Region Space Agency Forum. This is like the agency forum of all the different space agencies. And we have a very, very good close collaboration with the International Disaster Charter. And I'd like to mention that these all works are voluntary work from each member agencies and organizations. Next, please. So what we do is we do try to manage all kinds of all phases of disasters. Pre-disaster phase, such as mitigation phase, using hazard maps, early warnings, and pre-disaster monitoring, as well as we do preparedness, a lot of capacity buildings and trainings. And biggest activity of Central Asia is this response phase, where we get response from requests from the Central Asia members to have an emergency observation by satellite, then do analysis, and then provide damage assessment. We also try to cover recovery phases also. Next page, please. So this is a basic membership of Central Asia. We have 127 organizations in the Asia-Pacific region. The blue dot shows the data provider node, which is satellite agencies that provide satellite images. And red dot shows the data analyzers, such as the research institutes and the universities who analyze the satellite images and provide value-added products. And the green dot shows the disaster management organizations of each country and international organizations that utilizes our products. Next page, please. So we have been active for about 17 years, and then we responded to more than 500 disasters in the Asia-Pacific region. Next page, please. So how emergency observation request works, after when the disaster occurs, the Sentinel Asia member will request using our system called Optimus. And when the Optimus approves the emergency observation request, it sends messages to the DPNs and DANs about where, what kind of data is requested. And data providers will provide satellite images, and the data analyzers will retrieve that data, satellite images, and create does analysis and create value-added products. And value-added products are provided to the Central Asia members and the requester. Next, please. So this is an example of the EOR, emergency observation request we had. So last January, or January 1st of 2024, Japan had a huge earthquake in Noto Peninsula. And after that, we took a satellite SAR image by ALOS-2 of JAXA, and then created a damage assessment maps. Next, please. So how one of the example how we use Japanese government use these data, we created a landslide map using these ALOS-2 SAR images. This red dot shows it's kind of small, but it's a landslide spot. And then on the left-hand side, we make a map of possible landslide areas. And then by utilizing that, the government will dispatch helicopter to get a more detailed photo. And in this case, earthquake hit on 4 p.m. of January 1st. And by the night of January 1st, we took the first image by SAR of ALOS-2, and then provided the data during the night. And by the next day, morning of this January 2nd, government agency were able to plan for this helicopter route. So this is how we, this is an example of how we use in Japan. Next, please. So another example of the hazard is this typhoon. So we have a lot of typhoon every year, especially it's hitting heavily on Asian regions. And this super typhoon Yagi started from Philippines and went through Vietnam, Laos, Thailand, Myanmar, all over Asia. And then each different country requested emergency observation request, and because the timing is different from when the flood is happening, we provided all the data for each hazard. Next, please. So this is an example of a Myanmar flood. So MBRC is a space agency from UAE, and this blue area shows the inundated area of water bodies. So by using this, the requester will know which part was damaged by the flood. Next, please. So this is another image from Taiwan Space Agency. This is optical sensor images from two different dates, September 16th and September 20th. And you can see the changes of the flood. The 16th, it has a lot of vast area is inundated, and then by four days later, water has withdrawn a little. So you can see these temporal changes. Next, please. So not only the inundated area information, for instance, the UN WFP, UN World Food Program, created this damage assessment map of Myanmar case. So over the inundated area, they overlaid population index and also cropland index. And this map shows that darker area has more impact towards the population and cropland. The darker purple is the most damaged area. So these value-added product is used to estimate the volume of humanitarian aid. Next, please. So we do another example is volcano eruption. We do damage assessment like this. Next, please. Similarly, damage assessment, building damage detection is also done by using AI technologies. Next, please.
We have to wrap up your presentation. Yeah.
Sure. So all these kind of emergency observation requests in the history of it is all listed in the Sentinel Asia homepage. So please visit our homepage and explore. We have various hazard related information there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gurasan and Dr. Suresh Babu for providing your intervention of how space technology are useful for a humanitarian aspect. With that, let me move on to introduce moderator who would conduct the panel experts with set of questions and then open up for any questions you have. But feel free to share your questions in the Q&A so that our speakers can provide timely responses to that. So let me introduce Hamid Mahmood from the head of the UN SPIDER. It's a long acronym, Space-Based Information for Disaster and Emergency Management, from the Beijing office at the United Nations for Outer Space Affairs. He leads the head of the UN SPIDER Beijing office, as I said, and his UN SPIDER focused a lot more on space-based technology for not only for mapping emergency, but also for risk reduction and sustainable development. Hamid comes with a lot of expertise in remote sensing, GIS, and satellite application, and closely work with various international organizations. And under his leadership, the Beijing office plays a vital role in promoting integration of Earth observation data and space-based solution. With that, I would leave the floor to Hamid to introduce the panel and look forward to the exciting discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Giriraj. And before we can start, like Giriraj said, that if you have any questions for our panelists, please feel free to type them in the chat window at any time during the sessions, and we'll collect your questions and address them as many as possible during the question and answer segment. With that, let's get started. I am delighted to welcome our panelists and all the participants joining the session today. Before we proceed, I would like to quickly introduce our panel today. I'll keep it short. I'll keep the introduction short so we can spend more time on the questions and the discussions. So first we have Major General Sampath Kutuvigoda. He's the Director General of Sri Lanka Disaster Management Center. He brings extensive leadership to the National Disaster Preparedness and Crisis Management in Sri Lanka. Followed up, we have Professor Shi Li. He is the professor at the State Key Laboratory of Information Engineering in surveying, mapping, and remote sensing at the Wuhan University. He's actively involved in conducting research and analysis for regional disaster using data from the Chinese Earth observation satellites. Then we have Niranga Alahachun, who is the regional researcher and remote sensing and disaster risk specialist at IWMI, focusing on remote sensing, hydrological modeling, GIS, and rapid emergency response mapping. And in the end, we have Alvin Ho, who is the regional sales manager at Sinspective, which is active in regional technology solutions for disaster and risk mapping. So we have a very diverse, I would say, panel, starting from academia to NDMOs to the private sector as well as the NGO. So first of all, thank you all for taking time out and joining the panel today. So we will have 2 rounds of questions from the panel. To keep it sharp and relevant, I would request you to please keep the answers to 3 minutes only. And then during the first round, we will focus on the organizational roles. And in the second round, we will focus on the collaboration, scaling, as well as the future opportunities. With that, I'd like to start with Professor Shi. At Wuhan, we see that your lab is a leader in remote sensing and spatial analytics in this region, in Asia Pacific region. What we want to know is that how are the advances in the Earth observation technologies such as AI integration or the hyperspectral imaging is helping to improve the early warning and hazard detection in climate vulnerable regions. Professor Shi?
Okay, you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can hear you. Yeah.
Yes, yes. So according to our collaboration with UN Spider, we think that AI technology has shown very powerful way for the early warning or the rapid mapping after disaster. For example, we have made an assessment of the Afghanistan earthquake recently. And as soon as we get data, we finish the damaged building assessment just within several hours. So we use deep learning to quickly and accurately to map the damaged buildings. And this is not now because Wuhan University has a long history of using AI technology to automatic detection of the disaster damagement. So now the problem I think is for us now is not the AI technology itself, but there's still some questions that or some problems that need to be solved. The first is sometimes the weather conditions cannot will obstacle the our acquiring the images in the daytime. So we may need a side data. But in this morning, we have a very brief communication with our colleagues at the Ministry of Emergency Management in China. He told me that now the SAR technology is not automatically enough to map the damaged buildings. Maybe because the AI technology is not now very mature for SAR image analysis. So I think this made big problems when in bad weather conditions. I think the second problem is we think when the data was acquired by the by the satellites, the flow chart to get the images is not very automatically. Sometimes we use our Baidu online storage to transfer the data, or sometimes we use Dropbox to send you the data and the result, right? So I think we may need a very automatic or more smart way to get data. For example, if we just send our request, can directly get the data in my laptop or computer. The flowchart should be automatic, including data, including the receiving data, requesting data, as well as transferring data to our laptops. So this would be another problem, because this time, sometimes when transferring data, our prepared data still needs maybe like 1 or 2 hours. So this is another challenge. So sometimes, the golden 48 hours make this make us a challenge to map it very rapidly. So as far as you know, several days after we meet the Afghanistan earthquake, we can get the results. So I can think in the future, by AI technology or by some other technologies, we can shorten time to have more people. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Shi. And I think that was a very interesting perspective coming from a data analysis or a data provider node. We still have challenges and bottlenecks that we need to address. So moving from a regional perspective to the national level, General Sampath, my question would be that from a NDMO or a National Disaster Management perspective, how has the integration of satellite data improved real-time decision-making during the recent emergencies in Sri Lanka?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Hamid. Thank you, Dr. Giriraj and Dimi. Of course, from the national disaster management perspective, satellite data has really transformed how we respond to emergencies in Sri Lanka. Being a multi-hazard country facing floods, landslide, cyclone, droughts, and coastal hazard, we need timely, reliable, and wide-ranging information. Satellite imagery fills that gap perfectly, complementing our ground monitoring systems. Also, during recent floods and landslide, near real-time satellite data helped the Disaster Management Center to quickly see the areas inundated, spot unstable slopes, and also identify communities at risk. Also, flood maps from Sentinel-1, Sentinel-2, and the Terasa imagery. Also shaped through international cooperations, allowed us to monitor places cut off by damaged roads and things like that. And also, this meant evacuation orders and relief supplies and especially military deployment reach the right people at the right time. Also, for cyclone in the Bay of Bengal and the Arabian Sea, also satellite tracking of storm path and wind speed and the rainfall also supported by the ISRO, Indian Satellite Research Organization, and JAXA and RIMES also gave us a valuable lead time to react. And it strengthened our coordination between the DMC and local authorities, and especially with the armed forces, helping to protect the people. Also, I can say satellite data has also been essential for the drought monitoring and agriculture planning as well. Tools from NASA and Moody's, JAXA's GSM guided water management, crop planning, and livelihood protection, all verified with the on-ground data. And also through the partnership with the UN SPLIDER and European Space Agency and the International Charter, Sri Lanka has gained technical expertise, real-time access to global satellite, and support for capacity building also. World Bank supported programs have helped us to integrate satellite-based risk assessment into disaster risk financing and contingency planning. Also, to assess post-disaster activities, the International Charter has provided high-resolution imagery for damage assessment, helping us to prioritize recovery work and closely work with the humanitarian partners. Overall, I can say satellite data has shifted us from reactive response to proactive management. It strengthens scientific decision making, enhances our multi-agency coordination, and builds community trust in early warning. Because we have given, we were able to give accurate early warning for the people. Moving forward, we focused on embedding Earth observation into our national disaster management plan, strengthening technical capacity, and ensuring seamless data sharing by aligning with the Sendai framework and Paris Agreement. Also, SDGs. And Sri Lanka is committed to building a resilience at home with while sharing knowledge globally, actually obtaining knowledge, sharing knowledge with the global partners like this kind of platforms.
Thank you, General Sampath. Thank you for the holistic view. I think you covered everything from the management side to how it's actually done on ground using Earth observation data, and then sharing the best practices with the rest of the community. With that, we move to the development sector. Niranga, I'll move to you, and my question would be that I've seen the excellent tools that have been developed by IWMI, and considering your work is at the intersection of water risk and remote sensing, how are these Earth observation-based tools being used for emergency response planning, and especially if we can focus on flood and droughts, considering their frequency and their impact? And in terms of geospatial spread, we would like to know your activities for Asia and Africa when it comes to those Earth observation tools.
Yeah, thank you, Hamid. And it's a good question actually to answer related to the Earth observation tools, because earlier speakers as well as the Major General from the Disaster Management Center is explaining about the remote sensing data and their uses. IWMI as an international research institute, we are mostly doing the research activities, how to develop the new methodologies and how to enhance the existing activities for the new eras. For example, when we talk about the emergency response, we were looking at earlier how we are getting the satellite data from the International Disaster Charter. As the DGDMC also mentioned, we prepare the emergency response mapping. But with the development of the technology and the providing the more space to run the algorithm in a more quick manner, now we are able to develop this emergency response mapping product in a quick time period. We have developed the tool and we are link it in the AWARE platform, which is developed by the International Water Management Institute. Also, this is one aspect. When we talk about the regional and the regional level, IWMI work with the remote sensing data for last 15 to 20 years time period. Over the time, we develop our algorithm as well. Now we are in a capability to map the flood extent in the regional level. For example, South Asia, Southeast Asia, and African continent, we already conduct the flood inundation mapping. But when we talk about the cross-cutting with the water risk and the satellite or Earth observation tools, now we integrated this mapping information with the hazard, vulnerability, and the risk. Based on this information, now we can do the high resolution mapping as well with the country as well as the sub administrative level as well. By integrating all these things, we have, as a IMI, now developed a QGIS plugin where from starting to end process to risk mapping, where we can look at the flood mapping and we can end up with the risk hotspots identification by integrating hazard, vulnerability, and all these components. Likewise, over the time, we are improving and we are doing the research to get much more holistic approach by integrating Earth observation data. As you asked about the drought components, now we integrated Earth observation data into the platforms like a South Asia drought management system, where we provide interlinking Earth observation data and forecast data to understand what is the next 10 days, next 3 months, the situation looks like. Then with this forecasting, also we are next going for the monitoring to understand what is the current situation is going on. Then we are linking this information with the contingency planning to get the timely action. As DJDMC mentioned, now our platforms are linking to do a proactive approach to move into the reactive approach to the proactive approach. That is our major component in IMI we are doing in the Earth observation part. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Niringa, and thank you for sharing the evolution of how the tools have evolved at IMI, and then how there's a scientific background to the tool development. Moving on, I'll move on to Alvin, who's joining us from the private sector. Alvin, I've heard about the SAR-based satellite solution that are being developed at the Synspective. And I do understand they offer a very unique advantage for disaster monitoring. Can you share a use case with the tool that you have developed or the product that you have developed that has significantly impacted emergency planning or response?
Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Hamid. From Synspective, definitely we have a lot of use case when it comes to disaster. So as we all know, the major challenge in the immediate aftermath of any disaster is the rapid and accurate damage assessment. So optical satellite, while they are super useful, they are often blinded by, let's say cloud cover, smoke, or weather condition, thunderstorm. So all these conditions, they are typically present during a catastrophic event. So this is where our Synspective SAR satellite, we provide a unique all-weather day and night capability at a very high resolution from 3 meter up to 0.25 meter. So for example, we have this use case in this year. So March 28, there's this earthquake of 7.7 magnitude struck Myanmar this year. We are able to respond to the event immediately within the day to capture the image and share with UN SPIDO so that they can visualize the impact of the earthquake. And another example, which is also, I think, in Japan, similar to like what JAXA did, the Noto Peninsula earthquake event, we also captured data over the Noto Peninsula using our disaster damage assessment solution. We were able to perform like rapid interferometric analysis to detect the ground displacement with millimeter accuracy and identify area of significant structural change. So within hours, once we have the data and run all these assessments, we generate and provided the detailed map to the government agencies and responder by highlighting things like, region that are likely suffering from landslide and liquefaction. Also like infrastructure damages, compromised road and bridges, which was really critical for like planning evacuation and also the supply route to all the emergencies affected people down there, and also the extent of the coastal subsidence, which is vital for long-term recovery and planning. So this rapid objective assessment we did help our government agencies to cut through all the chaos and prioritize the rescue effort, efficiently allocate all the scarce resources at that point of time to those areas needed them the most, ultimately like accelerating the emergency response and also potentially saving life. So these are some of the use case Inspective did in the past, and hopefully we can help to all sorts of like disaster emergency response.
Thank you, Alvin. And I think from the UN side, it's very heartening to see that whenever there's a disaster, it's not only the national space agencies which are contributing, but it's also the private sector, companies like Sinspective, who are stepping up and sharing data in immediate aftermath of the disaster. So with this, we move on to the second round of the questions, and we will focus on collaboration, scaling, and future opportunities. And again, my request to all the panelists would be that please try to keep the answers in 3 minutes so we can finish on time. And then meanwhile, for the participants, if you have any question, please do type it out in the chat window. We will definitely have some time to go through the questions at the end. Professor Shi, moving back to you. Given your experience, more than a decade of experience of working with so many countries, what opportunities do you see for cross-border academic and policy collaboration to make these Earth observation tools more accessible and locally relevant in disaster-prone countries?
Okay, so I think the question, maybe your question is, now the AI tool in academic community is very advanced, but maybe for the operational department, the AI is maybe still a problem or it lagged in some time, right?
Yes, I would want to know that the tools that you are developing at Wuhan universities, how do you see them going out of China for cross-border academic and policy collaboration?
Okay, so I think this would not a big problem for us. So the way to encourage our professors to share their tools is very easy. It's very just give some credits when you use them or publish them. But maybe I'm not quite sure that if the software or the code can be shared. But I think maybe you can find a way, like we can build a website to provide some online tools. That would be much easier for sharing these tools, AI tools for others. Just from my perspective, sharing these AI tools to both outside or inside China are equal for us. Yes, because there's no, this is not some, this is not tool that with some secret. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Shi. And again, with the audience, this is something that I would like to share, that there's a lot of opportunity to share and learn from the universities in China. Whichever agency that we talk to, they are very willing to share the Earth observation data coming from the Chinese satellites as well as the tools. So moving on, General Sampath, you did touch upon the collaboration with different platforms like Inspire or IMI, but we would want to know a little bit more that how can the NDMOs collaborate with platforms like Spire, IMI, UNOSAT, or even private Earth observation data providers to scale the early warning coverage and ensure that there is rapid crisis mapping?
Scaling Earth observation solutions really comes down to strong collaboration across international platforms, research institutions, and private Earth observation providers as well. Platforms like International Charter and UN Splider are incredibly valuable. They gave us access to global satellite data, technical expertise, and capacity building programs also. During floods, landslide, and cyclones, or the other disasters, we can tap into this real-time imagery and feed it directly to our emergency operations center so that they can respond quickly and that help them to make quick decisions. Also, we work closely with research institutions like IWMI. They help us combine satellite data with hydrological models for things like flood forecasting and drought monitoring. Their expertise allow us to turn the raw data into actionable early warning products tailored for our vulnerable communities. Also, private Earth observation providers play a key role too. They help us scale our coverage, provide near real-time imagery for our rapidly changing situations like urban flood or post-cyclone damage assessment, where the timing is critical. But technology, I think technology alone cannot do this. For these solution, it is to really make impact, we need to embed that into national policies and disaster management frameworks. At the DMC, we are now integrating Earth observation products directly into our national disaster management plans and planning to include them in standard operation procedures. To ensure Earth observation tools will just not experimental, they are institutionalized and actually used by the authorities and local communities. And also, finally, I can say scaling of Earth observation effectively also means a platform-based approach, where data models and tools are interoperable and accessible across sectors. By combining international partners, technical expertise, and private sector innovation and the policy support, we can dramatically improve early warning coverage and crisis mapping to save lives and reduce disaster impact across the country. Thank you.
Thank you, General Sampath. I think that was very interesting in terms of how you're collaborating with the agencies and how that information is ingested into the national systems. Moving on to Niranga. Niranga, we have spent like 2 or 3 decades of developing these geospatial and Earth observation-based tools. My question to you would be that how do we mainstream these tools into, I would say, policymaking or national emergency preparedness strategies, and recently into funding mechanisms for faster or coordinated response? Just to sum it up, the question would be that how do we convert these Earth observation tool into impact-based tools?
Yeah, just a request to wrap up, Hamid, very sooner because we are very close to the
Okay.
time, and also closing remarks has to be from Gio. Over to you.
Okay. Okay. You're muted, Niranga.
Yep. When we look ahead in the mainstreaming Earth observation-based tools, I would say we need to look at with the 3 key steps. Like one is the institutionalization and the sustainable financing and the platforms which is developed integrating the Earth observation data should be user-friendly. Also, we understand even when we are working with, as you mentioned, 2 decades of time with the satellite-based information and the data-driven approaches, when we develop the platforms or any other product, we need to collaborate with the government agencies. Then only it will move ahead to managing the disaster situation in the country, then it will give a much more emphasis in the activity. For example, when we talk about the IMI Develop Aware platform, which is the core pillar looking at the anticipatory action, early warning, early action, and early finance, when we work together with the government institution, it will give a much more impact. And also, we can look at how the early action and early finance component linking with the government budgetary approaches and the some other free financing agencies to get much more information, much more reliable and much more information to manage the disaster situation. Yeah, that I'll try to wrap up from here. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Naringa. That's very critical, and again, thank you for keeping it very short and very brief. Alvin, coming back to you, and again with the request that please keep it very short since we're running out of time, but we would want to hear your experience on this, that how can private Earth observation companies like yours better align with the humanitarian and government priorities to support this models like, or the frameworks like early warning for all, considering your experience?
Thanks, Hamid, for the question. So for private EO company like ourselves, right, to be like truly effective in all these early warning framework, I think we must move beyond being just like data vendor. We must become something like an integrator solution provider. So how can we do that? The most critical step is to like co-develop the tools with all the national agencies and the humanitarian organization. So we will engage directly with them to understand their specific operational workflow and their decision-making process. So the goal is to make sure our solution, our analytics and platform will be built to be interoperable with their existing system. So we can deliver the insight in a format that they can immediately use and helpful for them, not just something raw. So this is one way how we can do that. So the quick example would be like something automated flood extent map that we plug directly into their GIS system, so they can just like disseminate all this sort of information to the general public. And then another one way I can think of is we need to make sure our data is sustainably accessible as a private company. So this involves creating flexible licensing models for disaster responders. And importantly, we also need to invest in the local capacity building. We want to make sure to have all these like government agency and their technical teams, they know how to interpret and use our data. So we are glad to work with the local government to do things like conduct training, workshop, to make sure they stay ahead or stay updated with all the current commercial technology. So in short, our role is we need to be like seamless, reliable, and empowering partners to the governments and also humanitarian agency, so that we can integrate our latest technology into every corner of this disaster preparedness and response. Yeah, so that's my part.
Thank you, Alvin. And I really liked your part where you said that we need to move beyond just the data providers. There has to be more on board to make sure that you support initiatives like early warning for all. So I think we have some time for question and answer. Giriraj, can we take one question?
Yes, if it is, or while the questions can still come in the Q&A box, I would assistant to go for open participant now due to limited time, right?
Okay.
So let me call upon Dr. Rui Kothani to provide the closing remarks from the group of Earth observation. Over to you, Dr. Rui.
Thank you, Giriraj. One correction, I'm not a doctor, unfortunately. But
Have
anyway.
you? Yeah.
So thank you so much for including me in this really great event on early warning for all. As some of you may know, GEO is a group on Earth observations, which is basically international organization, partnership hosted by IWMI, which is actually one of the leading agencies of the early warning for all. And then this panel feels really close to my heart because Jiraj is a really great friend of mine, who Imi is one of the founding members of GEO, and it involves the Xin Li, who is a member of GeoActivity. Dr. Takei is from JAXA, where I was trained before coming to GEO. Synspective is a company who was founded and still led by a good friend of mine. Sri Lanka is a country that I visited when I was younger and really struck by the beauty, and I really loved and agree with all the intervention that was made by the Major General Kutuwegoda. I'm sorry, I may not be pronouncing his name right. And of course, me and Jiraji first met by the UN Spider mission. So, Hamid, I really praise your work for that. So I really, I took an extensive note myself, and to me, it really comes down really 2 points. One is that one concept like that the Geo is now really promoting, which is let's make the data, the Earth observation data, to actionable knowledge, which we called Earth intelligence, actionable, knowledge. And I see that the interventions and discussions that we just heard today are like pretty much the evidence of that. That's really happening on the ground in terms of DR and early warning. And the key ingredients of transforming data into actionable knowledge of Earth intelligence is really the collaboration and co-development involving the national disaster management agencies to international related agencies to private sectors to the local government, university research, and all these actors. And it's really, you heard all these examples that has been, discussed today. And, I think that the panelists and speakers today, like their case that they presented today are so powerful because they're really rooted on the co-development and collaboration among all these different partners. So I really commend once again to all these efforts that all the panelists have been working on, and I really hope that the Asia is unfortunately like sort of the cradle of all the disasters, but because of you and tangible work that you do every day, every hour, even during night and the bad weather conditions, which SAR can really make a difference. And now with the AI as a powerful tool, we can really make the difference. But one sort of information I want to give is that AI is still new, and as powerful as it is, it's still not leveraged quite enough by countries. I recently did quick studies on the national adaptation plans and also the national NDCs, which is basically the national commitment to climate change adaptations and mitigation. And while Earth observation is pretty much mentioned 100% by all the national adaptation plans, AI is being mentioned only by, I think it was like 7% so far of the submitted NDCs and NAPs. So it's still, it's definitely a chance that the EO big data can grow, including with the SAR data, and really looking forward to getting more advancement, co-development, and making all the impacts on the ground. So let me end from here.
Thank you, Rui, for this excellent closing statement. And usually a topic like this, we may need an off day or so, but wrapping up in a 1 hour is very challenging. But again, thank you to all the speakers and moderator, and also for the closing statement from Rui Gio. Again, to the interest of all the speakers, we are producing a synthesis report on all the findings of this 19 webinar series. So we are just in the 11th segment of the series. There are 8 more to go. My colleagues have shared all the highlights of the series, and the recorded YouTube will be made available of today's as well in the segment where YouTube playlist has been provided from IWMI. So thanks again. So have a good day. See you all later. Thank you.